against them in game number one, if I'm not mistaken, on the second round of banning phase. Yeah, so that's going to be locked in, and potentially the Vladimir. So both teams not picking Rumble at all, which I think is very surprising. Wow, Vladimir's going to be locked in. We don't really get to see too much Vladimir, and I think one of the weaknesses of Vladimir is that the early game is so weak. Like, you are basically just not existent in the early game. You're just trying to farm up and get like 3-4 items. But once you get to the 3-4 items, the difference between like a 1-item Vladimir and like a 3-4 item Vladimir, like that difference is absolutely huge. And I think you go from being a useless minion to a really, really great late game carry. So that's going to be interesting to see if International Jobcenter can pilot that. But the Gwen being locked in, of course, we saw early on, and now Rakan for Quant. So a much different playstyle champion. I think this is much better for Mango in general. Again, the problem with last game is that they lacked engage onto that Nidalee. You know, it's the exact same mistake as what I was talking about in yesterday's series. Mango played against Nidalee. We had no engage. We had no lockdown for Nidalee. We picked Bard support against it, and it just didn't work out. It feels like more of a denial than anything else. But Zyra Khan, lovers duo in the bot lane. We will always love to see that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, they were hovering the Rumble here. Obviously, there's like, you know what? Do we obviously flex the Gwen into the mid lane, put Rumble top side of the map here? But I feel like they might be suffering from that same kind of consequence, right? Like, if they go for those two champions, there's a lot of AP, which is what they had in the last game, and didn't serve them much results either. But finally, we've had a lot of hovering over in the bans of the Draven, in the picks of the Draven. It's finally coming through here for the side of International Jobcenter. So Shy here, obviously early game. This is going to be a bit of a bully pick. Obviously, base damage for the Draven here is pretty phenomenal in terms of the rest of the champion pool into the marksman lane. But the Hecarim being banned out here as well. So not going to be able to go 0 to 90 in 2 seconds up and down the Rift.
It's kind of a conflicting play style, though, I feel like, for Jobcenter, because they have the late game scaling of the Vladimir as their potential mid laner, or might even go into one of the side lanes if Draven goes to mid. And then you have Draven, which is one of the strongest early game champions. So you go from one of the weakest early game champions and one of the strongest late game champions to now one of the strongest early game champions, which, like I said, doesn't really make too much sense for me. I would love to see a potential setup for this Draven. Maybe something like a Draven could be pretty good, but there's a few dashes with Rakan and Gwen, but it might be quite difficult. Maybe an Enchanter might be played with a Draven, or Rel could be a pretty strong pick here as a support to try and dive on in and set up this Draven for success. But I want to see I want to see a lot of attention, a lot of play around this Draven. Thresh being hovered. We have not seen Thresh in a long, long time, and I'd be very surprised if this gets locked in.
I mean, it'd be pretty coincidental as well, right? I mean, we got Toe Jam in the chat of Twitch, and we have Thresh come through. Obviously, he was one of, like, whenever you jumped into his streams back in the day, he'd always play this pick. So now the Thresh comes through. Obviously, in terms of trying to get the lockdown and use those hooks there, is going to be crazy. So obviously, once he flies in, uses that ultimate, it's going to be very hard for them to try and get back out. And then do they just keep getting hit over and over by Shy on this Draven? That could be the case here, but Ornn potentially being hovered here for the support onto the side of Mango to get that kind of initial team fight set up here with that ulti.
Actually looks like it's going to be one of the solo laners with the Ornn being locked in, because of course Rakan's already locked in. They already have the Zyra Rakan, so it looks like the Ornn is going to go into a side lane. Are we just going to go double tank and Gwen jungle for UI? This is really strange. Wow. Okay. This is a very weird draft. You lack a lot of damage here. If you're playing Shen, Ornn, I'm not seeing where the damage is coming from. Of course, Gwen can scale and do quite a lot of damage later on. Zai can do quite a bit of damage as well. But you're playing two solo laners, which are just tanks, and they're just gonna try their best to try and frontline and try and defend, I guess, the Zaya. But yeah, I love the Jarvan pick as well. Of course, there is a few dashes with the Rakan and the Gwen. Actually, I don't know, because Ornn can break Jarvan's ultimate. So actually, I take that back. I don't really like this Jarvan pick. I mean, as I mentioned, I think it's nice as kind of the setup tool to try and trap someone and give Draven a kill when they have a lot of setup with the Gnar and potentially the Thresh. But actually, there's a few really big counters here for the Jarvan. So not 100% sold on the pick yet, but we'll have to see when we get into game. But yeah, overall, I think this Mango roster is lacking a lot of damage with 2 tanks, a Rakan, which might build more tankiness, maybe a little bit more AP, but in general won't be dealing that much damage. So you are solely reliant on the Xayah and the Gwen to deal damage. That is it. It's actually going to be Shen. Wow. Shen jungle. I cannot remember the last time I saw Shen jungle. Honestly, it might have been last year. Maybe maybe it might have been 2023. There was a time that Shen jungle was very, very popular, and there was a time where Shen jungle was considered one of the best because his jungle clear was actually really strong, because you have a bunch of AoE auto attacks, but also you can just continue AFK farming and pretty much counter gank any lane thanks to his ultimate. So seeing this picked up again for you, seeing this picked up again after so long is quite an interesting one.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely gonna maybe be the element of surprise here from Mango, as you say. Obviously, using that global ultimate to kind of just like give aid over to any lane here. You're not gonna have to kind of focus too much on like, did I make the right rotation down to the red side of the jungle or blue side of the jungle here? You're pretty much gonna be locked in wherever you want to go. But the dash here has to be committed. Obviously, not flash, but the charge from Lakatao just to get him out of arm's way with Nabil and Shy, putting a lot of damage on here. Like I was saying in the draft, like Draven is going to do so much damage, especially if he keeps landing those marks.
Nothing else too exciting in this early game, as we might be seeing a dive here from Snorlax very early on. This is what I was talking about with playing around the Draven, but both summoners are available, and also there is a TP, so you need to be a bit careful, as Shy actually walked towards the tower to try and take the lantern away, but that might be a really big downfall here as the Ornn looks to flash on forward and try and get engaged. But now here comes Jov, and he's back again. Flash has to come through from the Xayah. The feathers are doing quite a lot of damage, to be honest with you.
The flash
goes down, 2 goes down, maybe 3 going down as Vladimir gets ultimate at the start of this team fight. Shen tries to use the ultimate to save him, but he doesn't in the end. Draven also gets a stack as well with his passive, getting a kill. He probably didn't have that many stacks because this is so early on in the game, and he probably hasn't been catching that many axes. But yeah, overall, incredible trade here again for International Jobcenter.
Yeah, I feel like they need to have like some kind of like delay compensation there from that Shen ultimate, very much like a British transport there. A little bit too late, delayed, and never got the save here onto the side of Mango. I mean, if he came through a little bit earlier, maybe it would have saved and turned around the tide of the team fight here, but he's now top side of the map here. UI looking to try to get the takedown onto Nabil, and it's going to be the case here. Quants has to use the second skill to get out, but there's a Cataclysm. Gets a slam dunk onto the side of Quants, but they don't want to lose Snorlax just here yet. There is a huge brawl. Top side of the map, they're looking for revenge. Lakatown gets the kill.
Yeah, big counterplay here, to be fair, to take down Draven, to take down the Thresh as well. I think that's very important to try and stop the snowballing effect of this Draven. Of course, Draven has a bit of a gold lead at the moment. The one downside and weakness of the Draven is if Xayah can stay pretty much even on gold, or stay within, like, I would say 1,000 gold, then you actually be pretty okay if you are Xayah in this situation. Ghost comes on through from the Gwen. Will we be seeing a solo bolo? We will. The minions block? No, the minions do not block in the end. And that will be Gwen getting the solo bolo. I mean, Quant was down there to help with the Rakan, but in the end, didn't even need it. Great kill there.
Yeah, just paying back the revenge. Obviously, bot side of the map before we saw all the action going into that solo lane there. It was obviously the solo kill from Freyren onto Faker Apo, literally maybe a few minutes ago. But now they've been able to neutralize that kill lead here from the side of International Jobcenter after having such a dominant early-ish part of the game, right? Obviously, the laning phase is still taking a lot of place here. We still don't have the neutral objectives come through just yet onto the Rift, but overall, I feel like International Jobcenter, they had a great early start here, but it's their early game to lose.
Yeah. Goldie, though, in International Jobcenter's favor, which is mainly to do with the looks like the solo laners at the moment. Actually, the Vladimir getting that early kill definitely going to help his early game. I think with him getting the kill and the assist, I spoke about how the Vladimir early on wants to try and get 3 items as soon as possible. As soon as you get 3 items, then you're in a pretty good spot. as they engage onto the mid lane. Looks like Nabil makes a huge mistake there. He follows the hook, but he doesn't realize that the Shen is actually right behind him. And now we might get another solo bolo here, potentially in the bot lane. The Ghost again from the Gwen. Another solo kill for Fake Rappo against Furin on the Gnar. So Gwen is starting to be very, very scary in this matchup. On the other side of the map, Vladimir is also having a really strong time against this Ornn, because the one thing about Ornn is that you can't threaten the Vladimir. You can't play aggressive early on. You can't put the Vladimir behind. So at the moment, Vladimir is just free scaling at the moment. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. That's the problem here for the side of Mango, right? If Vlad gets online, it's going to be very scary. Obviously, we saw him use the Ghost to get out of that one. He still has the Flash, which we saw gave a very fruitful engage on top side of the map here. But the Cataclysm, once again, locks down Deadly, but it's going to be enough time to get them here. But the Shen comes through. Obviously, Threshold has been popped as well. UI into the back line. He is a tanky boy with that Ornn coming through as well. He's really going to zone out the side up International Jobcenter, splitting them in half. But is this going to actually bear any more kills onto the side of Mango? The answer currently is no. And we have Rift Herald's very own Sweeney Todd just doing a lot of damage, but no, with the Purge back out of the T1. It's going to be a huge turnaround here for the side of International Jobcenter.
Oh, the Draven even flashes forwards. He gets himself another kill, and oh, this Draven. If I was a Mango fan right now, if I was Spanish, oi, oi, oi. I would not be very positive about this one. I was trying to think of a Spanish word there, but my 2 years of learning Spanish in high school did not come back to help me here, unfortunately, as I can't think of any words. No comprende? Is that a thing? I can't remember what that means.
I think so. That's probably like don't understand, you know? No comprende. No comprende. Like, that's what the fans are probably wondering. Like why is this Draven doing so well? Why aren't they contesting this Draven? No comprende. But the Enchanted Ensemble here does get taken onto the side of Mango, so definitely buenos for that. But now, obviously, UI gets taken down, so they get the objective, but the kills are coming through, and the gold is being transitioned here onto the side of International Jobcenter.
Oh, this is where the Draven starts to get very, very scary. Already has the Bloodthirster completed. Fake Rapper gets another solo kill, this time on the Vladimir? That's 3 solo kills in one game. What is going on? Like, Fake Rappo is having the game of his life. Meanwhile, there's a fist fight in the top side. Gnar is not going to be Mega Gnar, but maybe the Stand United is going to help out here. The Shen comes on through clutch with the ultimate, and again, Gnar dies in the solo lane. So I don't know what's going, like, why are we fighting Gwen constantly throughout this entire game? Like, we know it's a Vladimir, we just need to scale, but for some reason, they just keep fighting Gwen over and over again. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, you know your main carry now is the Draven, so all you need to do now is just play around this Draven. As long as you just play safe, you play around this Draven, you don't make any aggressive plays, and you don't fall behind in gold, then you're completely fine in this matchup. I think that the Draven himself can pretty much solo carry this entire game.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I feel like to answer that question now, like, why the singly fighting this Gwen, I feel like maybe International Jobcenter is like, you know what? We know you need a few items to get online and do some damage, and we're going to help you get there. But then once you get there, we're going to stop you in your tracks. Because currently, obviously, even though they are feeding over to the Gwen here, currently 3-2-1 KDA, not the most kind of like prestigious KDA, but it's still going to kind of put them in the lead here, going up against Gnar into the mid lane here by around about 500 gold. She has the Cosmic Overdrive here as well. So already starting to see the formulation of these AP items come through, and we've already seen the devastation of this Gwen so far.
Looks like top side here, Vladimir looking to try and get the solo kill here onto the Ornn with a little bit of help from the Jarvan, but Jarvan again is, oh no, it's gone horribly wrong. Jarvan actually takes the tower aggro in the end. I think the pull came down from the Vladimir, which meant that Jarvan takes the aggro. He's not that tanky when he's only got one item. He doesn't have the Radiant Virtue or the Zeke's Convergence yet, and that's a huge mistake for the Jarvan there, trying to look for the tower dive onto the Ornn. And this is what you have to be careful about when you're playing against Shen jungle. Is every time you look for these ganks, every time you look for these invades, you should always think on the back of your mind, okay, there's going to be a Shen ultimate. Shen ultimate has a very low cooldown. You can see it's already off, you know, halfway done in terms of the cooldown. every single time that's up and available, you have to think to yourself, it's like, okay, I need to be careful because there's going to be a huge, massive shield. This time it looks like Vladimir will eventually kill the Ornn. That's like third time, or maybe even fourth or fifth time is the charm for the Vladimir, but finally getting that kill in the solo lane, that's going to feel good.
Yeah, Carlos getting that, finally getting that revenge tour kill there for the side of International Jobcenter, but also getting that T1 into the top side of the map as well, right? That means he's going to free Carlos into these engages here. The TP does come through here from Freyren, trying to get that push away from that T1 like we saw earlier into that mid lane play, but not being able to kind of quite find the angle. He has turned away from the Mega Gnar as well, so he's going to have to wait a little while, but potential takedown of the T1 into the mid lane, but it's going to be everything onto the side of Mango, throwing the kitchen sink at the side of International Jobcenter to make sure they aren't able to claim this turret. Because, I mean, you saw moments ago in that mid lane where International Jobcenter was able to deny the Enchanted Ensemble into their own T1, so that was a bit of a saving grace here for the boys on the red.
They're going to try and push through this mid lane tower at the moment. Baron is potential up and available. They're actually pinging towards the Baron. This is very, very risky. I mean, you're going to be coming up against potential of the Shen ultimate again. As I said, Shen is on the bottom side of the map, but it doesn't matter because he can join this fight at any given moment, and here he comes.
Yes, he has the delivery package, which is going to be the Gwen, right? Obviously, Mega Gnar being pulled in. Yep, very much keeping them in place there. Definitely denying this takedown of anybody onto the side of International Jobcenter just yet. We can see, obviously, Carlos looking for that T1 into the mid lane. Looking at the bigger picture here. But now, obviously, it's all over here. Yes, the flank here. Vlad, Carlos is definitely looking for those lone stranglers there. Maybe looking at Deadly. Deadly does have the ultimate, though. So if he does dive in, he can just use that ultimate to kind of like just mitigate any takedown.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I'm not too sure. It's a very risky play there from International Jobcenter to try and take down the Baron. Of course, when you attack the Baron, you get the reduced resistances, you get the reduced damage in general. So it's a very risky play. Again, as I said, especially when you're playing it against a Shen jungle. I think this game kind of shows that International Jobcenter are not used to playing against the Shen jungle. They've been making mistakes across the map of trying to go for solo kills, trying to go for plays, and not respecting that Shen ultimate every single time. But they are still ahead in gold at the moment, mainly thanks to that Draven, who nearly has 12,000 gold, or 11,000 gold, sorry, under his belt.
Yes, I mean, definitely want to be doing that one here, but Carlos gets taken down. 2v1 engage bot side of the map. You can see Snorlax as well as Solo Bolo and Shy here looking for that 3v1, maybe potential dive here. We see the fly over the wall with the flag here. It's going to be enough to try and get the takedown onto UI. He's on the room right now. He's trying to escape this potential inevitable, but it's that ultimate. It gets cancelled out from the Thresh as well. Nice play here by the side of International Jobcenter. It's going to be the lockdown of the ultimate as well, but the damage coming through from the Draven is going to be
come
absolutely
with the portal.
essential. He comes in with a portal, just like the Avengers, into the Baron pit.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good play, actually, from International Jobcenter. Oh, that, you know, they might get completely caught out here. Oh, no, it's gone horribly wrong. I like the idea from... Wait, the Thresh and the Draven come on through? Wait a second, they double portaled in. They used the Lantern to double portal in, but it's gone horribly wrong for them. Draven gets a double kill. The Tiger's on the backline doing so much damage, and the hook comes on through with the flag and drive. Vladimir's going to come and clean up as well, and eventually it does work in International Jobcenter's favor, but that could have gone horribly wrong. That really cool interaction. What you can do is you can use the portal as Draven, and if your AD carry for anyone else clicks on the Lantern as you're traveling through the portal, then actually both of you travel on the portal at the same time, which is exactly what they did. They caught out the Shen in the bot lane. Draven used the portal to get into the top side, then both Xayah and Draven and Thresh used the bottom side portal to get into the enemy's blue buff. Probably not position they wanted to be in, but that collapse was nearly really clutch from International Jobcenter in the end.
Yeah, fantastic bit of techers there from the side of International Jobcenter, which really obviously turned the tide of the fight there. I mean, looking at that fight, it was kind of just watching like a pendulum swing between both Mango and International Jobcenter. Like, you didn't know who was actually going to come out on top of that one, but ultimately it went over to International Jobcenter thanks to Snorlax and Shy. Shy with the incredible 3k gold lead into the bot side of the map as well. Looking at almost having his 4th item onto the Rift. He has the Essence Reaver, he has the Bloodthirster, as well as the mortal reminder here as well. But now Freyren into the back line, does flash in with the Mega Knight. It's going to be the takedown onto the Zyra as well. Can the Ornal really tip the scales here? It's going to knock up quite a few of the heroes onto the side of International Jobcenter. Overall, it's currently a 2-2 trade. Vladimir as well. It's not going to be Shen keeping him Faker Apple alive. Once again, a 4-2 trade.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just goes in favor of International Jobcenter. This Vladimir now has 3 items under his belt, and this is where the Vladimir starts to get really, really scary. He has so much healing with his kit. His pull, his second ability, is one of the strongest abilities in the entire game. Like, you being completely untargetable and still being able to stack up through your passive so you can get so much healing. Like, look at this. You're just stopping the knockup from the Ornn. Like, it's just absolutely insane what you can do with this Vladimir pick. And if you're a skilled player like Carlos as well, you know the limits that you can get with this champion. And so far, it's been going in their favor. But this comes back to my point of champion select, where I just don't agree with this Ornn Shen pick, that you're solely relying on both the Xayah and the Gwen to be able to deal damage. You can see Rakan is actually going for a more tank version, so he doesn't deal any damage. And you have so much, you know, pen from things like the Vladimir going to be helping out with all the magic pen as well, looking for a team fighting the Dragon pit, maybe?
Yes. Triple man knock up here from Ornn. So Lakatown really trying to put a bit of impact onto this team fight, but it's going to be Snorlax being able to use the flag out of there. He's looking for the right engage right now. Draven is cooking right now. There he is. He lingers over the wall. He gets the Cataclysm onto Deadly. It's going to be enough to slow him down. It's going to be enough to, for sure, to take down Faker, Apo, and Lakatown. Potentially this inhibitor as well into the mid lane.
Yeah, blue side of the map, the insane engage again from the Gnar. And even though the 1v1 in the side lane didn't really work in Gnar's favor, his ultimates this game in Mega Gnar have been absolutely perfect. He's used it for disengage. He's used it for engage as well. Bit of an overstep though, no minions there, so he does need to be a little bit careful. They're going to try and potentially end this game, but no, they do need to back off though, because they're just way too much damage. Actually, the hook lands onto the Xayah. The Flay actually stops Quant from jumping in, and Gnar actually finishes the jump from range, and this might be the minion wave that they do to try and end this game.
Oh, the status from the Jarvan as well is going to be enough to kind of like set this whole tempo up at this potential last engage. Obviously, they have at least like 2 minions here, but it's going to be the Ornal that's going to be able to watch it out. The Nexus is still alive. They literally whipped that one. Shy is still on the run here as well. Definitely, I mean, health bar wise, he's looking pretty strong, but bot side on the map here needs an immediate response from Mango, because that's a big minion wave.
Oh my, they were just greedy for kills there, Blam. They just wanted blood instead of trying to end the game there. I think there were multiple times where they could have just auto-attacked the Nexus and just ended the game there and then, with Draven being so far ahead and having so much AD damage. Look at that. He is now full item crit build. He has 125% crit chance, but of course, with the change to Infinity Edge recently, he's now going to get even more crit damage. So this Vladimir, this Draven, sorry, is going to hurt. One auto attack and this Gwen might be dead.
Flash, not even the flash, just a proto belt in here from Vlad, but I mean, there's a lot of damage coming in from the Gwen. Hello, my Sire is popping off. What is going on? The Ornal's going to stop Shy into the place, maybe actually mitigate any kind of impact here. It's going to Vlad into the back line. Down goes Deadly. He's looking for Lakatown as well. Shy gets the come through. It's a double kill from this Vlad. Somebody call an ambulance, man.
I mean, that movement there from Shy on the Draven was so smooth. He was picking up axe after axe, and he was still dodging away from the Ornn every single time. The Ornn knockups, the Ornn crowd control, and the Vladimir coming in to clean up the job as well. Draven kind of struggles a little bit because he's against like a Shen, he's against a Gwen, which can stop a lot of the auto attacks. But look at that! The Rakan just dies from 4 auto attacks.
That's it. He's literally chopping away. He is a lumberjack onto the Rift right now. He's going to be Shy, spamming the emotes there, but now obviously at the Nexus once again. It looks like it's going to be the takedown, but it's going to be living on about 562 health. But the minions finish this one off. So props to the 6th member, the Winions.
Yeah, Winions in the end. Shy was just auto-attacking Nexus. He's like, yeah, I've had my fun this game. I got my 12 kills and my 10 assists. I'm completely cool with that. And he just auto-attacks the Nexus and ends the game. I mean, that's an incredible performance from the Draven, from Shy. I think 2 games in a row now. The first game on the Lucian was pretty clean with his movement. I think his positioning in team fights has been very